What's up, guys? Welcome to the line change. Now, in this video, we're going to be going over a topic that has recently come up, and that is the question on should the Canucks move Chytil to the wing. Obviously, people have been talking about that due to the fact that the Canucks are currently looking for a second line center. They're going to likely have to look for two centers, as it's looking like Pius Suter is going to leave in free agency. So they're going to need at least two centers. But I know what some people are probably thinking, well, Chytil is our 2C right now, technically. But, obviously with them still feeling that void left by JT Miller, they're going to need a 2C, and they've made it known that their priority is getting themselves a top six center. So they're going to have to do that. And in order to do that, if they go out and get somebody, Chytil will likely have to move to the wing. Now, we're going to go over an article that discusses this and them moving Chytil to the wing. But it basically says, can Chytil become a top six winger as opposed to a top six center? So we're going to go ahead and check it out. But before I do that, as I always do, I'd like to thank my sponsor and give a big shout out to my sponsor, Gassy Jack Art, the guy who made that incredible artwork you see behind my shoulder there. So I'm going to go ahead and thank Gassy Jack Art. Gassy Jack Art produces hockey prints on archival paper and canvas that have been rated to last over 100 years. The product range features a variety of players from different teams, including the Edmonton Oilers, Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, Calgary Flames, Colorado Avalanche, as well as your Vancouver Canucks and more. They also have some non-hockey related prints, such as baseball prints, wrestling prints, some prints from films as well. So go ahead and check them out at GassyJackArt.com. They also currently have their end of season sale going on, where you can add 4 prints to your cart and 2 of them will be free when you go to check out. These prints range from $20 to $25, so you're getting a steal of a deal here, paying $40 for 4 prints instead of $80. Definitely take advantage of this deal while you can before the sale ends. You can also find Gassy Jack Art on Instagram at Gassy Jack Art. These prints are so incredibly detailed. I myself have about 10 prints and intend on continuing to add my collection. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to GassyJackArt.com and get your prints today. So let's go ahead and take a look at this article from our friends at Canucks Army. I'll leave a link to the article in the description down below so you guys can read it yourselves or perhaps read along with it. But let's go ahead and check it out. Could Filip Chytil convert to a top six winger for the Canucks? This is by Stefan Roget. There are precious few guarantees in the world of sports, but we can very nearly guarantee that the forward group of the Vancouver Canucks are going to look different in a couple weeks' time. As it stands, the Canucks' center depth consists of EP40, Elias Pettersson, Filip Chytil, Aatu Räty, and Teddy Blueger, and in roughly that order. However, most believe that the number one item on GM Patrick Allvin and company's summer shopping list is a number 2 center. If a new 2C enters the fold, it raises an obvious question about what happens with the rest of those centers, and primarily what happens to Filip Chytil. The 25-year-old had an interesting debut with the Canucks after being acquired in the JT Miller trade, to say the least. Vancouver fans heard that Chytil was one hit away from retirement, but they didn't hear quite as much about his remarkable puck-carrying ability and drive. Chytil scored in his Canucks debut and continued to look like a difference maker out there, even if he only managed 6 points in 15 games. Then he took that one more hit in the form of a cheap shot from behind delivered by Jason Dickinson. Another concussion ensued, at least the 4th of Chytil's career, if not a higher number. and his season was effectively ended. All indications are that Chytil has fully recovered from this concussion and was indeed ready to return to play right as the 2024-25 season reached a conclusion. Apprehensions about his head health continue to linger, but there's currently no reason to believe Chytil won't be ready to play a role in the Canucks' forward group as of the start of the 2025-26 campaign. But if the Canucks add a clear-cut 2C through trade or free agency, what exact role does that leave Chytil with? The conventional answer is probably to keep Chytil at center and just slide him down to 3C. One can imagine Chytil slotting in between Connor Garland and Dakota Joshua, as he did at times last season, or perhaps flanked by the large, active bodies of Kiefer Sherwood and Drew O'Connor. There are a couple of issues with this setup, however. One is that it leaves a singular 4C role for Ratu and Bluger to share/fight over, and ideally, Ratu would be given a bit more room to grow on the roster. Another is that it still leaves the Canucks a little shorthanded on top six wings. As it stands, Jake DeBrusk is the only absolute clear-cut, set-in-stone top six winger on the roster. Garland probably deserves the distinction on talent and production, but it's also entirely possible that he lines up in the middle six instead to continue his long-running partnership with Joshua. Beyond them, we've got options of Niels Höglander or Abbotsford call-ups like Jonathan Lekkerimäki or Linus Karlsson. They'll be shorthanded if everyone already on hand proves up to the task, and even more so if they don't. So what about Chytil as an option? We're talking pure skill. He's way up the forward ranks, trailing perhaps only Elias Pettersson, and many of those skills read as the type that would translate very directly to success on the wing. Chytil can carry the puck and make plays, maintain possession, and fire off quick shots. He can drive the puck up the center lane, so it stands to reason that he could also drive it from the outside in. Contrary to his concussion history, Chytil almost plays a bit of a modern power forward style game. Most power forwards apply their trade from the wing. A top six consisting of Pettersson and a new 2C at center, and then a collection of DeBrusk, Chytil, Garland, and Höglander on the wing certainly sounds more complete than what the Canucks have down on paper right now. But there are some issues with this solution too. The most obvious one being that Chytil doesn't exactly have an abundance of experience on the wing as of yet. Many young NHL centers get placed on the wing before they're trusted down the middle, but that really hasn't been the case with Chytil. Maybe that's due to his player profile, which does lend itself nicely to center duties, or maybe it's because of a long-term lack of center depth on the Rangers. Either way, Chytil has mostly played the pivot position in his NHL career thus far, and so he would have to learn how to be a wing a bit on the fly. Chytil has played with a large number of good wingers in recent seasons, with his most frequent line mates being names like Kaapo Kakko, Will Cooley, Alexis Lafreniere, and at times Artemi Panarin. But Chytil's only real time at wing has come when some of the aforementioned names have briefly tried out center, but none of those experiments have lasted very long. Get this, Chytil rarely even lined up on the wing for the power play, only occasionally joining the unit of a Mika Zibanejad or Vincent Trocheck, and almost always centering a second unit of his own instead. It is typically, they say, easier to transition from center to wing than vice versa. Some go as far as to say that nearly every NHL center could be a fine winger if they put their mind to it. Does that apply to Chytil? On the one hand, we've got no real past precedent to say that it will. Draft profiles of Chytil list him as a left wing / center. So once upon a time, he was thought to potentially be going down that path, but it hasn't happened yet at the NHL level. On the other hand, there are plenty of other reasons to believe that Chytil could succeed at wing if given enough time and space to figure it out. Should the Canucks be successful in their search for a 2C and placing Chytil on the wing of either that player or Pettersson, would both balance their lineup a little better and avoid them having to go out and find a potentially expensive replacement for Brock Besser. Chytil on the wing is something that fits the Canucks' current plans and needs so well that we'd bet good money on it being tried out, at the very least, at some point early on in the 2025-26 season. Where that goes depends on Chytil's performance past that point, but we definitely don't mind the odds of a positive outcome. Now, to go on top of that, I do feel as though if you put Chytil on the wing, him being at center, we all know about the injury concern. I think if you put him on the wing, it might help alleviate some of that, injury concern. He might be better on the wing, and he might even be a lot healthier if he's on the wing than if he is on center. Just a little theory that I thought of, and I believe I saw it somewhere. Someone mentioned it, so I wanted to mention it myself. But I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What you guys think about the possibility of Chytil moving to the wing if we do go out and get a second line center. Do you guys like the idea of Chytil moving to the wing? Do you guys think it's a good idea? Do you think, despite Chytil's lack of experience as a winger, do you think it can be successful and could perhaps unlock something with Chytil, and he could come out of the gate and just naturally fit into that role? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, if you guys like this video, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to stay up to date on all Canucks content, whether that's the Abbotsford Canucks or the Vancouver Canucks, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. You can find us on social media. You can find us on Facebook. Just search The Line Change to find our Facebook page. You can find us on Instagram at The Line Change. You can find us on X at LineChangeVan. You can find us on TikTok at the.line.change.po. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. And if you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you'll find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Once again, on Spotify, feel free to give us a follow, as well as rate and review us. It's greatly appreciated. But that's going to do it for me in this video. Once again, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.